Hello, thank you for being in a new video. This time I have an unboxing of the Galaxy Tab S9 FE Plus. Let's get started. Remember that all Samsung devices that carry the surname FE means that they are fan edition. That is, they have some cuts in certain areas of the devices in order to adjust the price and be a cheaper alternative. In this case, this tablet comes in versions of 128 or 256 gigabytes. Its launch price in Mexico in the most basic model is 13,999 pesos. On the screen, you see the reference price in dollars, although remember that the prices here are not the same as those there. On the other hand, the 256 gigabyte model is priced at 15,999. Again, you see the reference price in dollars just to give you an idea. Having said that, let's uncover this tablet to see what comes in the box, and I remind you that the Galaxy Tab S9 FE is also available without the Plus, that is a slightly smaller edition. However, I think the most interesting one is this one because of the very huge dimension of its screen. So let's take out the contents of this box. We're going to remove this seal. And we also remove the bottom one. Let's see what Samsung includes in the box of this device. For starters, we come across this box where apparently accessories will come, but let's take a look at it. Notice that this accessory comes protected and covered, so let's peel off this cover so we can meet it. And here we have it. As you can see, it is simply the book cover, and I say simply because Samsung also has another accessory available that brings keyboard, but in this case it is only the case to give protection when transporting your tablet. In a moment we place it and we tell you more or less how it works. The next thing we will find is directly the tablet, and it is surprising from this moment how thin it is. Here is its tab with which we can remove the tablet from the box. Now let's take it out of this cover. And notice how here a graphic tells us where we're going to place to load the S Pen. And here it is. This is the silver edition, which as you can see reflects the lighting perfectly well, but it is also available in blue, dark gray, and a purple version. So the truth is that it has a good availability of colors for you to choose the one you like the most. I find it curious that despite being an FE edition, they keep the ultra-wide camera. From my point of view, they could remove it because I do not consider it so necessary, and to adjust costs, I would have liked them to remove that instead of removing other things. I'm going to turn this tablet on, and while we're at it, let's see what else comes here in the box. As you notice, it includes the S Pen, unlike, for example, the Apple iPad with which you have to buy the Apple Pencil separately. So it can become an advantage. Also, it's a stylus that's going to magnetically charge on the back of the tablet. I'll explain how in a moment, but the truth is that this accessory always comes in handy, especially if you're going to take notes for school and the like. The truth is that it is a must-have. Then we will find another small box that will surely contain the charging cable, and so it is. From USB-C to USB-C, and as you may have already noticed, it doesn't include the charging adapter. That is purchased separately. In this other box, we simply have the key to extract the tray where we can place a micro SD card, and on the inside we simply have documentation that I baptized as papers of a lifetime. That's basically all the contents of the box. So let me put the box away and let's take a deep look at the tablet. First, notice how we're going to attach the S Pen. And it's curious because unlike the other Samsung tablets, in this case it doesn't have the indicator line. So that could be a differentiator with respect to the other tablets, but notice how here it sticks perfectly magnetically, and the truth is very difficult that it is going to fall, but if you have that fear, anyway, the case protects perfectly well that pencil. And I remind you that the case automatically sticks magnetically. It has absolutely nothing. You simply pull it close and it's already perfectly in place. The bottom of the case has some pins, so you just bring it close and it will stick magnetically, and that's it. It is in notebook format. It also has a small tab on the side so you can create this kind of stand. Although honestly it does not seem the best because it is oriented to the right and not completely centered, but it can work. I would have liked to have seen a traditional tab like we saw on the Galaxy Tab Ultra, so let me set up this tablet and get back to you. I have already configured the tablet, so let me tell you some of the features it has. For starters, you should know that in this model, we do not have fingerprint reader inside the screen as we find it in traditional models, because the screen is not AMOLED. We are in front of a TFT screen, although honestly seeing the content from the front looks good, but definitely we would have loved to bring a higher quality screen. Then the fingerprint reader is located on the same power button as you can see. Another detail will be that this S Pen doesn't have Bluetooth, so it doesn't need to be recharged. It doesn't use batteries, it just sticks back here so you can carry it around easily, but it's never really going to discharge. So it's also a slightly simpler S Pen compared to what Samsung offers us in the standard models, but honestly you don't feel that much of a difference here. The biggest difference that you might notice is that, for example, you would not be able to control your PowerPoint presentations by pressing the S Pen button, since you need to be close for the button to react to interact with the tablet, unlike the S Pen that comes with Bluetooth in other editions. However, you could still buy a more advanced S Pen and pair it to use it with the tablet. Also, as you can notice, on the left side we are only going to find one speaker, unlike the other models, where we find two speakers for a total of 4. In this case, we only have a total of 2 speakers, one on the left and one on the right. The screen has a diagonal of 12.4 inches in this model, with a resolution of 2560 by 1600 pixels. Being a TFT panel, it doesn't offer us as high a contrast as we have in AMOLED screens, nor do we have such intense colors, and in fact I feel that it's a little cooler screen than I'd like, so I'm usually going to have the eye shield on constantly to have a little bit more comfortable viewing. So the screen is definitely not as spectacular as we would like, although fortunately it does have at least 90 Hz to show smooth enough movements when interacting in the system. The front camera on this model is 12 megapixels, and on the back we have 2 other cameras of 8 megapixels each. Fortunately, in the front camera they do not make any kind of sacrifice, since it is a very wide and excellent quality camera, ideal for video calls. Undoubtedly, this camera is going to be one of the best you'll find on this tablet. Look how wide it is with its arms outstretched. Definitely a camera with a lot of quality. In fact, this front-facing camera could give you 4K video if you wanted it to. And these cameras on the back are also going to give us good quality, although as I've already told you, I think it's very unnecessary to incorporate the ultra-wide camera on a tablet. On a cell phone, I understand it perfectly, but on a tablet, I don't think you're going to use this camera many times. So I would have liked to see an AMOLED screen instead of the ultra-wide camera, or 4 speakers instead of the ultra-wide camera. I think they definitely could have sacrificed this camera because it's not that useful. Anyway, the cameras will have good quality, and they also have the function to scan documents directly into the camera. So the performance will also be fine. Although curiously, with these rear cameras you can't record in 4K, neither with the main nor with the ultra-wide one. The battery is 10,090 milliamps. I think that's pretty good. It's going to perform just enough and just enough. With respect to storage, if you buy the 128GB tablet, notice how in this case, right out of the box, we're going to find that it has 23% of it already used, because the system has a good portion of it used. Fortunately, if you can put a micro SD card in, then I think you can make up for the lack of space. Remember that the many interesting features, for example, as you can see, we have a taskbar at the bottom so you can easily switch between the applications you have open. Even if we drag them to the center or to the side, notice how we could also transform the application to work in a window format. We can also drag to any other place. So, there are no other tablets on the market that offer you these kinds of capabilities, only Samsung. Obviously, there are other tablets that allow you to open applications in this format, but they don't allow you to open as many applications. For example, I'm going to open the calendar here and see how we already have 4 apps open. For example, I'm going to open the calendar here so you can see how in this case we already have 4 applications open. Now I'll open the File Manager application and we already have 5 applications open. We can even minimize these applications in a bubble, and we could also easily split the screen. Let's open the web browser so you can see how we're going to have 3 applications perfectly well distributed across the screen. So, the software capabilities that Samsung has through its software, the truth is that it can give you a fairly high level of productivity when interacting with your device. But that's not all. Remember that it also includes the DeX mode that will enable an interface very similar to the one we see on computers. Notice how it makes a change and a transition between one system and another, although it is the same system, but the interface changes. So, we are going to run all the applications in a windowed mode as if it were a computer. So it definitely offers us a very high level of productivity compared to other tablets on the market. So, you can switch between DeX mode and traditional mode. Just over here we have the exit button to go back to the normal interface. And finally, let's take a look at the performance issue, because the processor honestly isn't very spectacular. We're talking about the Exynos 1380. It's the exact same processor that's integrated into the Galaxy A54, which, while it's not a disaster of a processor, for the price you could definitely find other tablets that are much more powerful. But let's wait for this test to run so you can see for yourself how it scores on this device. And presto, as you can see, here are the results. 1012 points on single core, 2905 points on multi-core. It's definitely not a weak processor. However, there are some games that don't come as optimized for Exynos processors. So it all depends on what kind of user you are. If you want a tablet for gaming, I definitely think it's not going to be the choice, although in the later video review we're going to talk more in depth about how it performs in various games. But if you're going to use it to take notes, do some homework, I think the processor is going to be very efficient for these types of activities. But I insist that I will tell you more details about this tablet in the video review. For now, we have come to the end of this brief overview and unboxing. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you know you can point it out, and we'll see you next time.